And a good morning, Bird fans. Welcome in the Birds 365. It's the Mac show, but John McMullen is winging his way back from Indianapolis. He is well covered for by our big guy, Barrett Brooks. You hear him later in the day on Sports Take. You see him on NBC Sports Philly. I got a wardrobe question for him. But first things first, Barrett Brooks. A win is a win, and you take it any way you get it, but I was worried about coming on here and talking about back-to-back Eagle losses right up until Jalen Hurts scampered into the end zone with that touchdown. Hey, 9-1 is 9-1, and I'm not going to start the day by going, oh, my God, the Eagles were lucky. They weren't lucky. They earned the win, but it wasn't exactly a dominating victory, was it?
No, it wasn't. But in looking at the game, at no point did I think that this team was going to win that game.
Right.
I'm just to be serious about it. I knew that this was going to be a tough fight. I knew that also they were going to try to run the ball on them, and they tried. They tried their best, but eventually the Eagles, Eagles start stopping the run, which is point in the right direction. The first drive, Indianapolis went down the field, ran the ball as they pleased. And I saw Linval Joseph and I saw Sue really go out there and control the line of scrimmage. It's just getting those linebackers at that point to really get used to what was going on in front of them so they can start reading better. And once they realize, oh, I can run around here and not have somebody up on my chest, that's when things changed. Those space eaters in the middle of that defense turned the game around and started controlling the interior of the line, and now they can run and make plays as opposed to have an offensive lineman in their chest trying to make plays. So once they got a rhythm of, oh, we're protected, it changed the whole outcome of how those linebackers played and how the defenses played.
Yeah, because that first drive, Jonathan went right through them like a hot knife through butter.
Yes,
and I'm going, oh, man, this is picking up right where it left off last week. The Eagles can't get off the field. They can't stop the run. This could get ugly today.
Right.
But you're right. Sue and Linval Joseph came in. I thought the whole startup cost thing, anyone who now tells me, you got to get them up to speed. Or maybe you just throw them in there and say, go get them, big guys, is the way to go, because they surely did that yesterday. The whole tenor of the game changed after that first drive. I was severely nervous when the Colts went right down the field the way they did. But to the Eagles' credit, on defense specifically, they stuck by it. They changed the tenor of the game, and they played dynamite defense. After that first drive, Colts didn't score another touchdown, limited the field goals the entire rest of the game. That's a pretty good job out of Jonathan Gannon's.
Absolutely. Those guys have to learn to play together. Now, I'll tell you what. Linval Joseph is a man in the middle of that defense. Whoever was trying to block him, he would take him and reestablish an offensive line. Reestablish the line of scrimmage 2 or 3 yards back every single time they tried to block him. Now it's just an adjustment for the defense. They're like, all right, we can fly around now. And that was the biggest thing. I was thinking this, those guys, since they've been on the couch watching football next to me, I thought they would go in and they would only get like 10 to 12 reps maybe on first and second down. Heck, they played the rest of the game. I can't believe how good a shape they are. Defense is harder to play than offense as it pertains to on the line of scrimmage. But they fought and scratched, and they were in great shape. Great shape to go out there and play an entire game.
Joseph ended up playing 40% of the snaps at defensive tackle. Dominican Sue a little less at 26. But you're right. They threw them both into the deep end of the pool and said, guys, we know you know how to swim. You're both 13-year veterans. Believe us, it's not all that difficult. Our scheme, you might need to know a little terminology, but
that's it.
Go out there and do what you do.
That's exactly what they did. They had to know where they had to be. The terminology is different, but once it's like riding a bike when you're a veteran guy like that. All right, get up there and control him, kick his ass, and we'll be good. And that's exactly what they did. They just told him, "Hey, you see that guy in front of you? Beat those two, so those guys behind you can go make plays." And I tell you what, you were one of them. Now talking about, oh, we need to get the Kobe Dean out there. I kept telling you guys, no, We don't need Nakobe Dean right now. They have a man back there, TJ Edwards.
Timeout, Barrett Brooks. I said that before, and Dominican Sue and Linval Joseph never showed up. I didn't say that after those guys were added, and I wanted to see what they could step right in and do. And damn if they didn't answer that question by playing as well as they did. No, when you're going with Marlon Tuipulotu in the middle and you're getting carved and diced up like the Eagles had been the last 3 weeks, it wasn't that ridiculous an idea to say, can we get another live body in there to stop the run?
I knew that we couldn't get him because they don't play a defense where they have 3 linebackers on the field. So if he came in, it would have to take one of those other linebackers out. And I knew we couldn't. Dean couldn't go in there and play at the level that TJ Edwards could play. TJ Edwards is playing at a phenomenal level. TJ Edwards might be the defensive MVP the way he's playing right now. I mean, he had 10 tackles.
Yep.
Yesterday. He had 2 tackles for loss.
Phenomenal.
He was flying around. I just knew that he wasn't being protected. Like when they have a lead, you have to pass the ball and you can sprinkle run in, and he can go make plays when it's like that because you don't worry about the effects of having double teams on them. But when you know a team's gonna run the ball and they can get those double teams and get off on the linebackers, it's just tough sledding for those linebackers. Now they got to fight off a block and go make a tackle. You saw yesterday, they weren't fighting off blocks. They were running scot-free and going making plays around that offensive line and beating those guys up front.
All right, since you went there, I guess I'm going to have to defend my position again. Are you telling me that when the other team has 2 tight ends on the field, one of which is probably not a pass-catching tight end, more of a blocking tight end, you'd rather have Josiah Scott on the field as your nickelback than Nakobe Dean as an extra linebacker when a team is playing a 2 tight end set and the probabilities are they're going to run the football?
Absolutely not, Jody. I just know that our D coordinator, Gannon, is not going to do anything. He's not going to he's going to line up Josiah Scott, or he's going to put safety? What safety would you put on? Would you put
either Chauncey Gardner or Marcus Epps, either one?
I think they'll keep Epps back for.
Oh, they'll keep them both on the field. He plays 5 DBs on almost every snap of the game,
and which is why I say we're not going to have another linebacker unless we take somebody out. He refuses to play 3 linebacker scheme. He doesn't trust.
Does that make it right?
No,
just because Jonathan Gannon says so, and he's locked you into his belief that we need 5 defensive backs on the field for every single snap. Does that make it right?
It's absolutely right. Conceptually, it's actually wrong because you could put Kazir White on any tight end or running back in the league, and he can cover him. The ex-safety, he's good enough to cover him. Then you just put Nakobe Dean in the box at the will linebacker. Now you have 2 really good linebackers in the middle of that defense who are probably better run scrapers than Kazir White, trying to stop the run, as opposed to, leaving Kazir White back there and putting a safety up there. You just got more beef. I would love to do that, but conceptually, we're just not going to do it. Gannon will refuse to do that. I would love to do that because Kazir White can cover anybody and come up and play the run, but we're just not going to do that. So I'm not going to talk in a fantasy world where that would be the greatest thing we could do. Take out Josiah Scott and put him and set him down next to somebody on the bench, and then bring in Nakobe Dean, line him up in the middle of that defense, and then put Kazir White on those tight ends. That'd be the greatest thing since sliced bread, man.
Well, and I don't even would be the greatest thing, but it's something that should at least be considered. And you're right. I don't think they even consider it. They are so entrenched in the way that they play defense with 5 defensive backs on every single play. They're not going to change their mind. Doesn't mean I can't keep bringing it up and keep pointing to the fact that I'm not sure this is the way to do it. And I will continue to do that. Now, I will do it less if Linval Joseph and Dominican Sue played the way that they did for the rest of their time here in Philadelphia. Because, yes, when you're not getting diced and sliced up front, you don't worry about having an extra defensive back out there. When you're getting the defensive tackle pressure and bringing the backs in, bringing the linebackers in untouched in to stop the run, and Edward can play the kind of game that he did yesterday. Oh yeah, I'll stop suggesting it. I'll put it in the back of the freezer and forget that it's there. But it doesn't mean that I can't bring it up from time to time and go, okay, this Eagles system does invite the other team to run the ball. Now they did. First possession, right down the field. 7 carries, 49 yards for Jonathan Taylor. At 7 yards a clip. And I was worried the heck out of the Eagles' possibility to win the game. But damn, if they didn't stop the run thereafter, they were tremendous against it after the first drive of the game. So Jonathan Gannon gets to look at me and either wink or shake his head and go, "Shut up, McDonald." Yes, for the final 3 quarters of the game, the Eagles defense did the job because they got what they needed to get out of the defensive tackle position.
They played so well, man, and it put a fire. It lit a fire underneath Cox. Cox didn't have to play as much, so he had more energy to play. I know he was bitching about, playing 70 snaps this last game, but to get paid to do, you got to do that, man. This time, he played a lot less snaps. He was a lot more effective. He took on double teams. He didn't turn his back on anybody. He played pretty well. I must admit that he did what he had to do, man, which was a sign and a point in the right direction. Now he sees that, all right, he got some hammers in there with him. Ndamukong Suh, they put him out there defensive end. He was rushing the passer, man. He looked pretty good being out at that 4-eye or head up over that tackle. I mean, he had some juice in him. So how long will his juice last? We only needed to last, 8 more games?
Right. Regular season into the playoffs, because we know that's exactly where the Eagles are going.
Exactly.
And we do, before we get our first guest up here, Paul Donwich is going to join us in less than 10 minutes. How about Jalen Hurts? Not having a great day. The passing game wasn't all that efficient. Miles Sanders wasn't running it all that well. They got 3 points through the first 3 quarters. And Jalen Hurts doesn't look one iota phased out there. He's in complete control of the game. When needed, he takes off and made the play. Made a couple out of failed passing attempts. He made a couple of designated running attempts, including the touchdown, which was absolutely a brilliant call by Sirianni. Man, this kid is growing before our very eyes and is a very legit MVP candidate. And yesterday's 2 late touchdown drives just add to what is becoming a pretty fast-growing legend here in town.
He showed me something. He's been showing me something. I heard Charles Davis, the announcer, that he said, if he wins this game, we'll put him up with the upper echelon quarterbacks. And I had kind of a gripe with that because I thought he was already up there with the upper echelon quarterbacks. It's just everybody else is seeing what we've seen for a long time now.
Right.
For this season. He's playing at an MVP level. So we've already seen this. But I think this game kind of showed the rest of the nation how good Jalen Hurts is. And I told you last week, and a lot of people, that we need to see those intangibles. Yes, he's a quarterback, and we got to protect quarterbacks. But it just doesn't make him it doesn't make him very effective. Well, it makes him less effective when you don't use him in his dual threat capacity. He's a guy that you have to use that use his legs as kind of a counter to any defense's counter. You can't blitz him because if you let him go, that's another defender that won't be able to make it up. And once he gets past the line of scrimmage, and when you blitz, you got to go man. Everybody turns their back. The people covering turn their back and just guard their man. And now he can go out there and make plays. So if you let him pass the initial surge of the blitz, he's going to run. And his effectiveness as a runner makes it as though you're not defending 10 people on the field like you usually do. Usually when you have a quarterback, a statue back there like you saw yesterday from Indianapolis, you only have to defend 10 people on the field. But with Jalen in there, you have to defend all 11 guys. When you do that, you got to allocate resources to wherever he is and what he's doing. On that last play on the touchdown he put, watch how Kelsey influence block. He didn't even really have to block anybody, but his influence and Jalen Hurts' legs made that play because it was regular inside zone. What they did was Samalu blocked down. Kelsey's so good, pulls around, and that guy that was supposed to spy the quarterback and play the run, follow Kelsey, because usually it's like Kelsey's follow the bouncing ball. Follow the bouncing Kelsey. Wherever Kelsey goes, the ball is going, and that's exactly what happened. Kelsey pulled around the down block by Samalu, pulled that linebacker out, and Jalen Hurts could have walked into the end zone instead of pirouetting into the end zone or laying up into the end zone.
Not
it
many,
was just easy.
Not many times can you get misdirection right up the middle.
Right.
But that's exactly what it was. Misdirection up the middle, right in the dead center of the field,
Yep.
which was, again, a very well-designed play. Great read by Jalen, and quick reaction to get into the end zone, even with a little pirouette, as you say, right there at the end, which was perfectly fine. He had that much room that he could decide exactly how he wanted to go into the end zone, and more power to him.
I could have ran in there. I could have ran into the end zone. That's how big the hole was, man.
Maybe. And I got no issues with Steichen about using Jalen as to when to run. I get what they're attempting to do. It's like having an ace in your back pocket. And if you don't have to play it, and you can save it for another hand. You do just that. You don't just want to throw it out there to show it off and to brag. You just keep it in your back pocket, and you reach for it, and you play it when you need it. Well, guess what? The Eagles needed it yesterday. They weren't doing things offensively. A couple of tough turnovers. Jalen got blindsided by a hit and coughed it up. A.J. Brown, I'll ask about that later. What the hell happened on that play? He just looked so tremendously tentative, like he was waiting to get hit. That's not A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown looks to hit somebody else.
Right.
Swell Batman was not all that swell on that play. He was swelling up to drop the football, which I didn't get. But they overcame all that because when they needed it, they could go to Jalen Hurts, pulling the football down, taking off, unaccounted for, making plays with his legs, and on a couple of them, getting the extra yards. You want to see your quarterback go down and protect himself, live to throw another day. But he knew on the plays that he needed to get more yards. He did just that, was willing to put his body at risk.
Love it, man. And I sit next to, Jaws, quarterback, played a long time in the league. I respect his opinion. I respect him. And he said the same thing. We were going through it, in the pregame show on Eagles pregame live. And, he was like, nope, I don't want to see Jalen Hurts get hit. I don't want him to run the ball as much as he's been running it. I said, but that's just the nature of how Jalen Hurts is. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, he has a 600-pound squat. He's not the average quarterback, but he's still a quarterback. And I understand that. But he knows how to stay healthy. He knows how to keep from, getting hit and being in harm's way. There was a couple of times he could have ran for the first time himself, but he stopped, dropped, and rolled. And and stopped just before the line of scrimmage, but he did that just to keep from getting hit. We would eventually get the first down on third down, but those are the type of instances where we're thinking, yeah, you have to protect yourself, and I understand why you just didn't go get the first down. He could have done it, but he didn't do it. He's smart about it. This young man knows how to play the game at a high level. He's never, he never lets you see him sweat. You saw him on the sideline. Everybody else would be like, oh, this is a laissez-faire type of attitude. Why is he sitting there? He's not even worried about it. Well, we just know Jalen, and we understand his demeanor on the field. He has that type of attitude. Like, even when it's, they're doing great and they're playing at a high level, he still maintains that consistent, like, all right, we're chilling. We got a lot we got to accomplish. Let's keep moving forward. And that's the type of, air he gives out to the rest of his teammates also.
Keeps his emotions in check every single play of every single game. He's Barrett Brooks in for John McMullen today. Johnny Mac winging his way back from Indianapolis. We get J Mac back into the mix tomorrow. Coming up next into the mix here with us on Birds 365, one of our stalwart guests. You read him here on JAKIBSports.com, 33rd team as well, longtime Eagle Beat guy. Paul Domowitch jumps in next on Birds 365.